Welcome to Tabletop Takeover. Hey guys, I'm Nick.
I'm Jared.
And welcome to our first episode of our new podcast. Super excited to get started. Kind of just wanted to lead this whole series off with just a quick intro for us, kind of how we got into gaming, how we know each other, and yeah. So I'll start off. I got into gaming, probably in high school. Me and my buddies used to just sit around for hours on the weekends, literally all day, and just play games of Risk back to back. Now, not a game I would play, probably, but for sure was big time for us. College, high school and then early college. After that, just casual games of like Catan and whatever, and then just blew up from there. And I met Jared. When did we meet, Jared? Like 2019?
Yeah, I think 2018, 2019.
Yeah, just before COVID. We met up for games at the local game shop playing Scythe, right? You, me, and my wife.
Yeah, I sent out an empty invite to Facebook asking for someone to please play Scythe with me.
Just
and
open
Nick
to get
answered the call.
Yeah,
Yep.
Perfect. Jared, you have always been the godfather of the game group up here, so glad that we got to do this podcast together. But when did you really get into hobby games, Jared?
Around Scythe time, I believe. Probably 2018, I played Catan a lot. I forced my wife into playing what I called Catanathons, where we would have 2 or 3 tables going of Catan, and I would just invite people over and teach them how to play, and we would have a blast. And then, you remember that show with Will Wheaton?
Absolutely. Tabletop.
Yeah, Tabletop. So I was looking up strategies for Catan and how I could be a better player, and only finding Catan was just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, I didn't know that you were this hardcore sweat at Catan, Jared. Just looking at strategies online.
I wanted to play it 100% of my time, all the time.
There was a phase where I was through that. Like I said, we got into like hobby gaming probably in college. That would have been like 2009-10 era, but we didn't really start collecting and gaming until well after that. Probably 2012, 13, 14 era. I don't really know exactly when. And that was definitely one that we played a lot. That and Small World, I feel like were tabled the most early on for us.
Yeah, Small World's a good one. I've always enjoyed games. I remember when I was little, I made my own board game. It was dumb. It was like a copy of Monopoly. I just cut out cereal boxes to make pieces and a board, and I thought that was cool. But
I've ever done on one, so that's awesome.
I've always enjoyed board games, even when I was little. One of my favorite games, I remember the first game I really got addicted to was Omega Virus, which was early 90s and had an electric. Yeah, it's still amazing. Well, for me, because it brings back a lot of old times. But I've always enjoyed gaming. I just didn't know what was out there. I didn't know the abundance of beautiful cardboard that was available to us, hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, and you mentioned Scythe. Obviously, like whenever we met, we were playing that. I remember the first time I played it, so I had heard about it. Obviously, we had a decent collection. I'd say when I heard about Scythe, which would have been well after the Kickstarter, probably once it hit retail and was getting big like that. We probably had, I'm going to say 60, 70 games in our collection. And my buddy got me Scythe for my birthday, and I was stoked, man. I was like ready to play this game because, like you said, it's like this big, beautiful cardboard game. I'd never seen anything like it. I can't tell you how much I hated that play of Scythe. It was like the single worst game I had played ever, and I was so disappointed, and I think he was too, because it's not a cheap game, and we were all excited. I think, looking back on it though, right, like it's the classic problem of brand new game, people who are new to games. Not that I think Scythe is really heavy now in my gaming, I don't know, like hobby, career, whatever.
But then,
yeah, but then it was huge. And then we opened up the rule book and read the rules at the table and played it. And that's just never going to be a good experience for anybody, really. But, since then, Scythe's how I've made friends with you. And through you, friends with everybody else I know up here in the area. So,
yeah.
I guess I kind of owe it all to Scythe. That's wild to think of.
Yeah,
but
I know, right? Bringing it all back. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I know we wanted to talk about like games that kind of influenced us and games that we really enjoy. However, we want to kind of take this. So I'll let you start off. I know you already mentioned Scythe. You mentioned Omega Virus, Catan, obviously. I know that your tastes have definitely changed over time from early on in the hobby.
Have they?
So, like, I don't know, man. Just take us through, like, maybe however you want to do it, a timeline or like games that you're playing now that you're like, this is like what I enjoy, and these are the games that I played to get here. However you want to kind of go with it, man. Let's hear about your gaming journey.
You and I have talked about my change of games, but I think everybody goes through ebbs and flows. You and I have seen it with new gamers, right? Like buying up every single game you can possibly get.
Yeah,
that's cheap, right? But I've gone through that phase, and I've sold those games, and I've bought new games. But I'll tell you some of the most, looking back on the most influential games, at least within my short playing time, I never liked area control. I was like you. I used to play Risk in college, never hardcore, but it was just, hey, let's sit around, have some drinks, and play some Risk.
That was it for us. Yeah, it was never serious.
Sure. Yeah.
We all played in the same like countries or continents. We all played the exact same way every time, made the same deals every time with everybody. But it didn't matter, man. There was no good gameplay. It was just friends and drinks and hanging out.
I will say that that perception of area control comes from specifically playing Risk for all those years. I never played the legacy versions or anything like that, just base game Risk. And it's not really fun. Move into an area, roll some dice, hope you get lucky,
right?
For the most part. But Blood Rage, man, when someone said, oh, it's an area control game, it almost instantly turned me off of it. But Nick, what is my favorite game of all time?
I mean, it's definitely Blood Rage. I feel like later on I do want to have the discussion that we're going to have. So, spoiler alert for later, but, I am a fan of Blood Rage. I don't think anybody likes that game as much as Jared does. It's solid. I'm going to be honest with you, Jared. It's probably my number 3 in that trilogy, but that's okay. I'll play it anytime you want to play it. But yeah, the big debate just to get the look ahead is Inis versus Blood Rage, and the ridiculous debates that we have had over the years about these two games. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, and the trilogy you're talking about is Blood Rage, Rising Sun, and Ankh, correct?
Yes. Yeah, the Lang trilogy. Of course, now I guess it's a quadrilogy, a trilogy plus one, a trilogy
Blood Rage
5.
Valhalla.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I'm sure you back that all in and are ready to get that to the table. So
I couldn't give them my money fast enough.
Now, hang on, not to interrupt the flow here, but I kind of didn't look into that Kickstarter too much because I do own the 3 games. I wasn't too interested in getting the Kickstarter goodies for it that I'm missing. But did I understand correctly, you can now play Blood Rage into Blood Rage Valhalla in like a 2-part campaign type thing where some stuff carries over? Or am I mistaken?
No, you could be correct about that. I didn't even look at the Kickstarter. I just backed it.
That's okay. I'm sure you'll text the group and be like, delivery's estimated Thursday, and we'll all be flocking to play it. So
yeah,
we'll find out when that fulfills next year.
But Blood Rage was just really, at that time, not a huge rule set compared to some of the games that we've played in the past together. And it's just fun. It's one of the games that I love to go to a convention and teach people. And I've always had a good time with it. No matter I remember going to one of the Dice Tower conventions and I played with a guy that only got 19 points, which is very low in that game. Usually 100 or more is a good score. He got 19 and he had a smile on his face the whole time. And I don't know many games that can do that. May have been the person, I didn't know him very well, but he had a good time. And Blood Rage seems to provide that because it doesn't feel as mean. There's a lot of strategy around it. It's just, it's a good time, and I've loved it ever since the day I was taught the game.
Yeah, and we recently played it at our local con. What was it? 2 months ago, last month? I don't even know when that con was, and I even worked events there. But, and that was a good time, right? Like, I know that you were friends with the people that we had played with. I didn't really know them too well, but it was just perfect. Like, we did a quick rules recap of it. Pretty simple, and you get into it. For me, the only thing that's kind of weird to explain to people is if you rage out, like if you're out of rage entirely, you're done. You can't even come into a combat, right? in that game. So I think that's the only thing that trips me up. But at the end of the day, man, just read the card. Well, that's what it does, right? You can get a monster, or maybe your things are worth more strength. And then you play it for rage, you move, you fight. Pretty simple. And it's quick, too. I will say that. Of the trilogy that we mentioned, that game plays really quickly.
Yeah, you're mentioning about the trilogy. One thing that sticks in my memory is that day we played, well, technically all 4 of the Lane games. So the 3 we mentioned before, and Chaos in the Old World. Because if you remember, my gaming table that I built broke, and we had to hold the table up with our own legs to finish before we finished Rising Sun.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
pretty classic day. But we played all 4 games. So Chaos in the Old World and the 3 we mentioned earlier, all in one day. And I think Blood Rage took us 45 minutes, if I remember correctly. Is that how you remember it?
Yeah. For me, my big core memory of Blood Rage, specifically at your house, is whenever we played. I think it was just you, me, and your son and my wife, and I think maybe our friend Morgan was there too. I don't remember if he was there, because it was my first time playing it, and your son was in Yggdrasil, I think is what the central part's called.
Yes.
And I was like, listen, I'm all in on this guy. I'm going to do it, And your son, I think at the time was like 12, 13. I don't know how old he was, but he was certainly young, and I just all in everything and lost the combat and got annihilated. I'll never forgive him for that.
Yeah, my son does not play games very often with me. Of course, he's 18 now, about to turn 18.
He's way too cool now,
He's way too cool for me. But he will always play Blood Rage with me. So when I say it's my favorite game, there's some motivation behind that. So.
Yeah, that certainly helps, So Blood Rage for me is the obvious one. I mean, that one, I feel like everybody in our entire area knows that you're the Blood Rage guy. I know you talked about Risk a bit. Your Katanathons, is that what you called them?
Katanathons, yep.
All right, hang on. We have to stop and talk about this now, because there's a few things. And I have always said Catan. I feel like I'm probably wrong. It's got to be Catan. Do you know of an official thing here? How do people actually say this?
Potato?
I mean, that's it for me, right? I'm not going to change, and you're not going to change. I just wanted to call it out now. Like, it's always been Catan because it was Settlers of Catan. And back whenever I saw it, like, I never even thought about the A being any different than like that.
Maybe because Katanathon just sounds better, so I've always stuck with it.
It does have a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
It does. And you're probably right on how it's said, but for anybody listening, I do apologize that I refuse to change. And if I'm wrong, feel free to tell me, but deal with it. So what else have you kind of got into? I know you and I've also played quite a bit of heavy Euros. Like, what kind of puts you on the Euro scene? I guess Catan would be one. That's more like trading, negotiation type stuff. But some of the heavier Euros, like what was your path there?
Well, I'll tell you what, that when it comes to heavy Euros, when I first kind of got into gaming, I used to love the browner the better. Those old boring boards with 60 shades of brown, I used to love them. Ate them up.
Yeah.
Ate them up. And now you will barely get me to touch them.
Says the guy that got his ear, though. Come on.
Well, I mean, I still like a good Euro.
I know, yeah.
There's been a weird situation where I've come in a lot of new Euros, I feel, that are made. You can kind of do everything. And I always loved those old classic Euros because you couldn't do everything. You had to pick a path. And even when I play a Euro today, I prefer to play something meaty, something that you can't do everything. One of my favorites is Teotihuacan. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. City of Gods.
I'll let you have that one. I have no idea.
Yeah. Teo.
We all just do our best.
Call it Teo because it's hard enough to spell and say. But Teo is a fantastic game. And I know another Euro that you and I like, it's got some dice rolling, is, I think you may have taught it to me, Raj of the Ganges.
Yeah. Very good game. We did that quite a bit online.
Replacement. Yeah, we did. When COVID hit, we played it online quite a bit. Yeah. I love that. As you can see, I do still love dice in these Euros that I'm mentioning. I still want dice involved in my Euros because another favorite one I have is Marco Polo.
Okay,
1 and 2, I think I
have never played that. I don't know how that game has eluded me forever. I know, and I know I'll love it too. That's the thing, man.
I've failed you.
Excuse. Yeah,
I've failed you.
We have to get it to the table soon.
It's great. I think I prefer the second one. I feel like there's a little more agency over what you do. The action selection seems a little better, but once again, game with dice. Still love them. They treat me bad.
They do. Yeah, you are notoriously the guy that rolls low.
I'm that guy. Yeah, every group has one. It's just me. It's me in our group. Yep.
Look, I mean, better you than me is what I say. But you know what I think it is, though, about me not playing those games is they are older games, right? And we have a decent-sized gaming group up here. I know that I don't get out and play with everybody all the time, but I feel like if there's a new Kickstarter arriving, somebody has it. If there's a new hotness, somebody has it. Everybody's going to the cons. Like, I think somebody's going to every con of the year. At some point, somebody is going. So we're always playing new stuff. And so it's difficult to find the time to play the older games, which is probably a good topic of conversation on another podcast. But I think that's really what it comes down to, right? Whenever you and I get to connect, which is more rare than it should be and more rare than it ever has been, honestly, I feel like we're playing something hot and new that one of us just got in.
It's the nature of the beast.
It is, Cult of the New, as they call it. And I mean, I just paid tariffs on a new board game that's coming in from Kickstarter, and I will continue to get them because I have a problem.
Well, I mean, collecting's just as much a part of the hobby as playing, right?
Absolutely. And I know you had talked about some like games coming in, games coming out, and like getting maybe quantity over quality early on. Man, I'm still dealing with it. I think, honestly, at this point, I think I'm pretty good with all the games I have in my collection. I think are solid games, and I do enjoy them. I still think I have a lot of bulk and excess and maybe some overlap, and I can do some cuts, but I don't know. That's a lot of energy, and I don't really feel the need to cut games, so we'll see.
No, that's fair. Can you share with everybody do you know how many games you have?
I'm somewhere in like the 315, 320 mark. I think I peaked at like 320. I'm less than that now. I know, like at our local con, I sold some at the flea market there. I sold some at BGG Con last November. Sold some on Marketplace. Then I donated some to the con as well that we have here locally. So I have maybe a couple left now that are in my actual like cull pile. I actually do think I have too many. Another, again, good topic for a future episode, but I think my collection's too big for the space I have. I have 3 shelves of games, and I don't want to get a 4th. To be honest, I can't get a 4th. Where the heck would I put it? But, that's a problem for future Nick. And it's been a problem for future Nick for a couple of years now, but that's okay. It's okay. What about you? Your collection, I remember like when we first met, man, I think you had like a Calyx, maybe a Calyx and some else, and now you have 2 walls. So what are you at now? Do you know?
Yeah, there's quite the library here. I think I've whittled it down. I use Board Game Stats, the app that tracks your plays.
Yeah.
And I just took a quick look to see where I was at, and it's showing 499 games, but that includes expansions. So I would probably say around the 350 range.
Probably
is where I'm at. But I say that saying it's a tight collection. There's not much in here that I would get rid of right now.
And I said you have like 2 walls worth, right? Maybe we're close to the same amount of games. I have a lot of small box games. I went to a big spree of buying them. So I know you have a lot of bigger Kickstarters. Like you have, I'm blanking on the name. The Foundations of Rome. You have that big box, right?
Oh,
and
sure.
I got
Yes,
Foundation Metropolis because of space. So
yeah,
I think that's where your physical bulk comes from, is just Kickstarter boxes. A lot of minis. You're the dungeon crawl guy. Oh, that's another topic, man. The dungeon crawlers. But I agree. Like when I look at your collection, I don't look at this and think, why do you have this game? Like this doesn't make sense to have. Whereas when I look at mine, I'm thinking, I can see that getting cut. Like who wants to play this? I enjoy it. It's solid. But I think that there's some cuts that could still be made.
Yeah, I definitely have games that I would just like. I don't know why I have this, but I don't see see myself getting rid of it at the same time. Like my old worn out Catan, it feels like there's memories there, you know?
Yeah.
So sometimes they do get a little sentimental. I still have my copy of Omega Virus. You've seen it laying in my room.
Yep.
Still works. I don't see myself ever getting rid of that.
Right.
So
I did mention it though. You're the dungeon crawl guy, right? So let's get to that, because as much as I really want to be, I'm just not. And I know I had some fun with some games, and it's also group dependent. So if I'm playing a game with my friends, it's a dungeon crawl, it can be kind of casual. But what was your kind of journey, like this game into this game, and now I'm playing, I don't know, like whatever the new hot dungeon crawler is, because again, I don't have it. Maybe Iridia? Is that the new one? The campaign?
Man, Iridia is so fantastic. It's kind of a storyboard game, but they're very relatable, right? Story games, dungeon crawlers, even boss battlers kind of get kind of overlap. But I used to, when I first started gaming, I hated dungeon crawlers. I said they're all the same. That's still somewhat true. And space games. I hated them. Hate every space game I ever come across. Nick, what game do we play every several months?
I mean, I think it's the game. Twilight Imperium 4, baby.
Yeah, Twilight Imperium. So, as you can see, my tastes have changed quite a bit. So, as far as dungeon crawlers, I played Gloomhaven and became obsessed. You mentioned our friend Morgan earlier. He bought the game. Of course, that was when it was $160. He got a group to play with him. I was one of those, and I fully immersed myself in that game. I thought it was so incredible. I couldn't wait. We played every other Wednesday. I could not wait for that Wednesday to come, so for us to play another one. And that really changed my opinion. I know Gloomhaven was a special case when it came to a dungeon crawler, because it added this interesting decision-making space and these fun puzzles that every single level was different. It felt more Euro-y, if that's fair to say. I mean, I guess as much as a dungeon crawler could be. But then you still have this player progression, and you had these high-five moments where you flipped the right card or you made the right decision, and everybody's slapping hands at the table. And it was really at that time, I'm like, I really like this interaction. I can't say I'm a big co-op game. I like co-op games just fine, but I don't thirst for them. But there's just something about rolling that perfect dice roll and really getting around the table and having that interaction with the people around the table that just draws me in. And I think that was the springboard for me to really enjoying dungeon crawlers specifically.
You mentioned like there's some overlap in like a story game, maybe a boss battler, maybe a dungeon crawler. And I feel like some of the magic that I just haven't found, and a lot of it, honestly, it's on me. I don't play them to give them the shot, but I think some of the magic comes from the story of you guys just going through the dungeon together. Like you just kill like the small mobs. Maybe there's a boss at the end of the dungeon. You flip the right card. Maybe your buddy goes down, but you beat the boss before his like timer ticks out to kill him, or whatever the mechanic is in the game, right? And I think like just the story of doing that together makes them special. It's not really about the whole, okay, I can attack 3, squares away. I'm going to go here. You attack from the flank. Like, I don't know. That's the mechanics don't make the dungeon crawler. I feel like it's got to be the story and like the friends and the experience.
Yeah, I don't want to use the cliche of, it depends who you play with, because that could be true for every game.
Sure.
But I can remember times in Kingdom Death Monster with a group of people where we were literally dancing at the table because of a rare moment that occurred. And I just don't remember ever doing that with Ark Nova or a worker placement where you're like, oh, do you remember when you put 2 people in a hut to make another person? You don't capture those moments. And so that's the reason why most of my games are more high interaction based. They are dungeon crawlers. They are semi-cooperative games. One of my favorite ones is Nemesis, which also Nemesis was my springboard to start liking space games. So
I feel like that's an interesting path to space games.
I know, right? I think so. Eclipse helped too. When I first played Eclipse, that really changed my vibe
Yeah.
with what space games are truly like. And I don't know why space never interests me that much. It just, sci-fi is never my jam, I guess. But I guess that's why I mentioned Nemesis, because I did like Alien and Aliens, the old movies, and so it kind of feels very. You have these movie moments, within the game, and I like a good Cthulhu game, and
For
so
sure.
a lot of those Cthulhu games are story based, especially the old Fantasy Flight games.
Yep.
So that's probably a part of that. When you and I were talking about, what to broadcast for this podcast, Eldritch Horror is actually on my list for story-driven games, because that kind of got me into not only the Cthulhu mythos, but also, hey, let's roll a die and make a check and let the dice kind of play out your story. So,
I'm feeling like a phony here. Like look, all the games I own, all the games I've played. That's another game that's forever evaded me.
So good. It's so good.
I know. It's just, there's half a bajillion games. So it's tough to make up on all the older games that I have missed out on. But one of these days, man, I'll play all the quote unquote classics, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Back to your thing on space games, like you didn't really like them, not sure why. I had a thought, and I think maybe I'm going to contradict myself because of the Euro analogy, but like the Euro conversation. I feel like a lot of space games look the same. It's how do you make space look different than space? But then it's like, I do like a nice dry brown Euro, though. So I can't really say it's because space looks like space, but do you think that was part of it? It's just like visually, it's like, okay, spaceships on some stars and blackness. Like, is that part of it, you think? Or do you think it was just like, sci-fi in general is not for me? Was it a visual aspect or what?
I would say sci-fi in general. It just not super interesting. And so just if it was something was space themed, I would be kind of turned off of it. Unless it was like Star Wars related, that's, I feel like, is a separate genre all its own.
I do love Star Wars for sure.
Yeah, now I love, like I said, Eclipse is kind of what brought me into it. Nemesis, Twilight Imperium, really like that. Voidfall it's probably climbed to my top 5 every single time I play. I get absolutely massacred, and I have a smile on my face for 4 hours.
Last time I'm going to do this episode, I promise, but that's another game I haven't played yet.
It's so good.
I had plans to play it with Josh, and I ended up not being able to make the time. Like, we had a time set, and I was at work. I just couldn't get out and make it on time, so that's fine. The other time, we were going to play with our friends Drake and Jesse, and I don't know, like me and Drake set it up. We were ready to go. Jesse got in there, and then we were like, you know what? It's actually pretty late, because that we usually start our game nights awfully late, and it ended up being, I think, 8:45 or so by the time we got it fully set up. And I needed an entire rules teach, and as you know, that rules teach is super long. It was a Tuesday, and I'm like, we all were just like, let's play something else. So we played Clank Catacombs instead. So
you need to try it, because it's fantastic, but you need to be prepared. Like, you need to watch a rules reference, because it's a pretty hardy teach. Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't give it completely blind. I had watched some videos before I was going to play with Josh, which was probably 9 months before I was going to play again with Drake and Jesse. I watched another couple of video recaps, so I kind of sort of knew what I was going to do, I guess, but I still, it's like different than actually getting the rules teach there, so I was ready for it, but it was just so late.
Well, we're going to make that happen then.
Yeah, that's high on my list to try.
Yeah, I just got a play mat for it, so I'm eager to shout out to Grippy Mats.
Nice.
Yeah, little Etsy dealer. It looks great. And they make the mats where the tiles don't slide around, which is super, super good. So excited to try that. But yeah, we'll need to get a game of that soon.
So anything else you want to hit on your journey?
I think I'm kind of naturally taking down my list, or the ones that I have that are influential, or kind of carved out my pathway to gaming.
Yeah.
I think I got it all. Yeah.
So I guess for me, like I said, Risk in high school. I mean, I feel like Risk is Risk, and most. I wouldn't say most people. That's a jump. But if you've played games, you've probably played Risk at some point. So
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
a
want
big
to count
box
that.
store game. Yeah,
Exactly.
big box store game.
Exactly. Catan, obviously, Small World, like I said, but a big one for me was The Last Night on Earth. I played that at my friend's older brother's birthday. Okay. Like, it was really a random situation that I was here. He busted it out at like 9:00 at night, taught us the game. And I'm like, humans versus zombies, like this just, B movie type thing. And you just shoot your shotguns at the zombies. And it's just, I thought it was great. You know what I mean? Looking back, and I still play this game to this day. I think last year we bought a couple of the expansion stuff we didn't have before because it was on our 10x10. Do I think it's the best game ever made? Absolutely not. I see the problems with it, but I'll play it anytime at all. It's great at 2. It's teams. I don't know if I said that or not, but it's like one person versus one person, and one person will control 4 humans, and one person is the zombies, or you can do 2v2 or 1v3, and it's great. It's just a lot of fun, dice chucking, and it's got those story moments that you mentioned too, where like, okay, we have to, get the keys to this truck, get gasoline for the truck, get back to the truck, start it and go. Well, the zombie player knows your objective too, so they just pile all the zombies there, but then you find extra gasoline and you're like, you know what we can do? Light the gasoline on fire on the ground and burn all the zombies. But you have to hit your dice roll. And like when you hit it and all the zombies die and you move in, get out, it's just those really fun story moments that are exciting. I think you and I played it last year, didn't we? You, me, and maybe
couple
Jordan?
times, I believe. I think we played a couple times. Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I mean, I like Shadows of Brimstone a lot.
Yep.
And it's the same people that made Shadows of Brimstone with the weird art, like the very kind of, I don't know, how would you describe that art style?
It's like, I'm going to say photorealistic. That's probably not the right word there.
No,
but
it's
it's like their buddies just put on all these costumes and took pictures of them to set the scene, like do the art for the game. And I think they use some of the same people in the other games. So they've got to be like staff for the company or like family friends or family, whatever. But I like it. It's certainly unique. So, I think you could maybe make an argument that that's a dungeon crawler. Maybe it's like a scenario fighter thing. I don't know what the genre is for this, but it's solid. Would recommend for sure. I did talk about Scythe, how the first time I played it, wasn't really a big fan of Scythe, right? I will actually probably put that on this list of influential games for me, because I think I went into that game like a lot of other people did, and they said, this is going to be, a fighty game. I'm going to build these mechs. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to kill your mechs. I'm going to get points. And then I realized by my first play, it's not that. This is something weird, something different. It's like a Euro game, but then there's mechs. And it also was a big jump for me into Stonemaier. I believe I got that before Viticulture. And it kind of just opened up like, well, what else is this company making? Oh, these are good. Okay, these are more Euro games. Okay, well, then what else is a Euro game? And like, who's liking these games? And like, what's the support like for it? Oh, there's expansion content too. And it kind of just really ballooned everything for me. I think it might have started with Scythe. I was thinking about this today, and it's probably like a central point for me. I also, as much as I don't want to play this game today, I have to talk about Dominion, because that was another thing, like deck builders,
I do
think, like I think it's still a very good game. I think I just want more from my deck builders looking at you doing Imperium. And Dominion just doesn't offer that. So I do remember, though, many nights of like playing it. My buddy Dan back home, he bought off of Facebook Marketplace. Somebody was selling like all of their Dominion collection for, I'm going to say like $60. And it was, I think it's 2 boxes. I don't know if he's listening, he can tell us, but 2 boxes of it. And they were just all stacked in there as tightly as they could be, of a bunch of things. So then I got to see all the variety in the cards and played a bit. And yeah, I just thought, man, it's just a card game. How are they doing this with this? Like, what is deck builder? You mean I can like change my deck and I'm doing something completely different than you potentially? And like, you can really lean into a strategy. I just thought that was great. Definitely eye-opening in how that worked out for me.
Yeah, it was Dominion the first that did that?
I'm going to credit it as one. If not the one, it's one of them.
I don't think it was the first, but I don't know what was first. I remember hearing who did it first, but I definitely think it was the most popular one.
Yeah,
it
put the genre on the map, I think, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I played Dominion. It was one of those ones on the table. The Will Wheaton, I believe, is how I played it. Ended up buying base box. I never. It was a cool concept, but it didn't hit for me. It was fine. I've played it a couple times afterwards. I probably have a bigger appreciation for it now than when I first played it, which was pretty early in my.
This is embarrassing for me, but I was sitting here thinking, like, do I still own my base box? I'm like looking at my shelves as you're talking, and yep, it's still there on my shelf. I haven't got rid of it all this time.
I will say, Dominion did teach me to kind of. I call it deck building plus. So, what I would refer to as deck building plus would be something like Clank, where there's deck building, but you're doing something else, or there's a board in the middle. One game that I'm addicted to is Slay the Spire, based off the video game. Well, it's kind of a video game based on a board game based on a video game.
Maybe.
Have you played that one? The board game version?
I said I wasn't going to say this again, but no, I haven't played that one.
It's very, very fun. I would. It still has that deck building feel. But it gives you that plus, or it gives me the plus that I need to really enjoy myself. So,
I have friends that recommend the video game and the board game, and I have played neither. So no excuses.
Yeah, I played the game really wanting to play it. Went to Geekway in St. Louis, and somebody had it, and I was like, "Oh, that game looks cool." He was nice enough to allow me to play it, and I loved it. I thought it was so fantastic, and he's like, this is off a video game. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I think I was the only person at the convention that did not know that was a video game. And then I started playing the video game, and I got addicted to that. So, and I'm not one to video games at my age. So I really enjoyed it.
That game's on a lot of like content creators lists. It's a lot of people locally talk about it. Again, just no excuse other than too many games, not enough time. But hopefully one day I'll get that played for sure. I have to circle back to Risk now for the next game because it is Risk Legacy. I know you said you didn't play it. That I'm just going to say that like blew my mind. I remember playing that back home, like where we grew up with the same friends that I've been playing Risk with, and my wife too. And I mean, you can put stickers on the board. Like I can found a city in Europe and name it whatever I want to and start there. And my faction is different than your faction? Like, that's crazy. I have my own ability. What do you mean? Like, this is nuts. And wait, did you just say you dropped a nuke somewhere? Like, you're nuking something and now there's mutants? I'm so confused. Like, it was crazy, man. Like, that was every time we played a session, I'm like, what's next? We played through my friend Graham's copy in its entirety. Played through, I don't think we actually finished my copy, and I think I played in a third game of it. Like, another person bought it, and we were just like, let's play. And then, I don't know when we found this, but if you lift up the insert, there's a packet of cards that's like, do not open. And we were like, fun. What? Don't open? What do you mean don't open this? I'm opening it right now. So don't ask me what was in it because I don't remember. But man, it was just crazy. Like I had never even thought of a legacy type game or a campaign game, anything like that. And it was amazing at the time. I mean, we played that game so much. This was like back, no kids, no responsibilities really. I think we were gaming 4 nights a week, like Thursday through Sunday night. Come to my house, whoever wants to come. We'll order pizza or make something to eat and then just game forever. And that game got played a lot. Yeah. What else? I have to get into the storybook games, I think, because I'm like the Red Raven stan of the group up here.
Yeah, that's true.
And it all started with Above and Below. Now, today Above and Below is fine. I got Above and Below Haunted. I think it adds a little bit to Above and Below. Still not like top of my list of games to play, but I'm never going to get rid of it because I can't help myself with these Red Raven games. But yeah, just the thought of it was like almost choose your own adventure, but not quite where I wanted it to go, which is near and far. And but yeah, it was great. Like you read a passage and it's like, oh, do you want to, you see a guy like with a cart. Do you want to rob him or help fix the cart type thing? And I was like, wait, I can do this in a board game? This is exciting, and it's all based on a dice roll, which is fine. Really enjoyed it a lot. And that really kicked off my storybook or adventure games or campaign, whatever you want to call them, thing. And it really started with Above and Below for me.
Yeah, those choose your own adventures to me feel so, like, I don't want to say elementary because I don't mean from a simplistic standpoint, but just like from when I was reading books in school, right, where I got to choose my own adventure, and every single time I read it, it was just something different. And I think you and I played Vantage not too long ago, right?
Yes, yeah, Vantage is another great game.
Yeah, it feels very much like that choose your adventure, and I love that. That every single when you play Above and Below, I imagine every single time feels very different, right? Based on the decisions you make or the encounters that you see, right? Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's about collecting resources. So it's like sometimes I hit an adventure and I get a rare resource early on. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you see the same passages very often at all. You shuffle up a deck of cards, and like when you go on an adventure, you draw a card and roll a die against what that card says, and it gives you a passage to read. So it's pretty randomized and stuff. My big problem with it, and it's going to lead me to my next game, is that it all kind of felt disjointed. Now, Vantage and being disjointed is a whole nother conversation, and I enjoy the heck out of that game. But Above and Below, I wanted something more like, how can I make everything connect? And that happened for me with Near and Far. It was like Above and Below, but if my decisions impacted later on. And you can like do an encounter with somebody. I think his name's like the Red King or something like that. And he's like the bad guy in the story. And if you do something for him, you can get a little keyword. So later on, if you get a passage and you have that keyword because you're interacting with the Red King, well, you're his guy now. So you get to do something totally different than your buddy would have done if he got that same passage. And that just kicked it up a notch for me. And I think whenever, maybe not when we met, but early on, like whenever we were friends, that was my favorite game of all time, Near and Far.
It was. I remember that. Yeah,
it's fallen a bit, but I mean that game's great. I actually was talking to Jesse, like we see each other on the weekends quite a bit, and I'm like, I could just bring this over and we can knock out a game or two, like while we're hanging out. We'll see. But I've played through individual games of that, character mode campaign of that, an actual campaign like where you make your own character, and I would recommend every mode. I haven't played the co-op yet. But
So Nick, I can't help but to mention that you say you're not the dungeon crawler guy, but you have a passion for those storybook games like the Red Raven games that you listed out. And the very first game you talked about was also.
Yep, I hear you. And I think in some ways, Jared, you're not wrong, okay? And that's what I was hinting at, right? Is like, when you were talking about dungeon crawlers, I'm like, it's about the experience, right? Not the mechanics. But for me, man, I just kind of don't love this grid-based, how do I fight this thing? Like, I don't really care about killing the enemy on this grid tactically or like with my deck builder and like, can I get my right weapon? That's not what I really want. And Near and Far doesn't really, I mean, it has combat if you want to call it that, but not really, and you're kind of just like moving on, getting the stories, roll a die to fight something and you're done. And it just keeps you in the story. And that's really what I appreciate more about it. But I do think if I sat down with a proper dungeon crawl, I'd probably enjoy it more. Just feel like every time I get into it, it's a bit casual and I don't stick with it. I'm notorious for being bad about finishing a campaign with a group. So Near and Far, I finished 2-player games of. Once with me and my friend Graham online, once with my wife. But if I'm going to try to meet up with people like your house every other week on Monday, I just feel like I don't want to commit to that. And dungeon crawlers need you to do that to really get into it.
And legacy games do trap you into like, I want to play different games with my friends, but I feel like if we're going to play something, we need to get through this game, right? So sometimes that doesn't feel great.
Scythe Rise of Fenris. We just played through that last year. Mm-hmm. And it felt like that too. It's like, it's Scythe night. And I mean, sure, I was excited. You guys are going to be there. We actually get to finish Rise of Fenris because COVID interrupted our last campaign. But yeah, it was like, man, after the third or fourth game, it's like, okay, it's Scythe. I get it. Scythe with a little bit more rules. Jared's scoring all the points every game. But Yeah, it was kind of like, can we play something else maybe? And it's still a great game, you know, and all the campaign games are good, but I feel you. It's like, man, do we really want to commit 15 game sessions for this campaign game? And the answer for me is probably no.
So for our listeners, and I want to share this story because I was picking at you just a second
Yeah.
for the story games and some of the games that you've mentioned that are very dungeon crawlery. But you explained why you like this. But for our listeners, Nick came over. I think it was just you and me, I believe. And Nick looked around my room and said, "If I were to play one dungeon crawler, what would it be?" And he saw my face light up this room. And so I forced him to play Cthulhu Death May Die, which
I do remember
is
that. That was a good one.
top 5 game for me. Love Cthulhu Death May Die. And they're just one shots, which makes it great. But every single time I've played that game, it feels tight. It feels like everything's gonna emerge on one dice roll. We're either gonna win this thing or lose it. And I love that tension. And I believe you said you actually enjoyed that one, right? You liked Cthulhu Death May Die.
And you know, I think it comes down to, it was a one shot, right? Like, I didn't have to sit there, okay, let's play this, Jared, and then let's just text after I go home and we'll plan another night to play game 2. It wasn't that. It was sit down and play this for 90 minutes maybe, knock it out, it's good. And like, it was nice. It was compact. It was, honestly, for a dungeon crawler, pretty quick setup. Wasn't too bad. The rules, not too hard. Of course, it's a Cthulhu game, so you're going to have a madness thing to it, all that. Like, it's... I enjoyed it. That's a game for sure I would play again. And I think it just comes down to it being a one-shot scenario every time you go into it.
Yeah.
In that same vein, that's why I went ahead and pre-ordered Vantage when it was on pre-order. Because I was leery of it. Like, oh gosh, a campaign game from Stonemaier, big open world, like what, 1,200 cards or whatever they have? Like, do I want to do this? He said, no. Every game is a one-shot. You reset. You just, like, learn stuff every play. And can I cover more? Oh, auto add to cart in order. Okay, I'm a champion for a reason. I'll get everything they make. So the one-shots really keep me around for those type of games, for sure.
Do you feel... So, Vantage being a little outside of what you traditionally like, do you think... Since Stonemaier, how long did he work on that game? Like 6 years. It was a long time.
I think so. Yeah.
Do you think if it was produced by a different company, would you have been excited to play it? Or I mean, you and I are kind of in the same boat with Stonemaier. Like, usually we're in.
Yeah, I own everything from them except My Little Scythe. And my thing with with Vantage is, if it wasn't a Stonemaier game, I would not have pre-ordered it. If it was a big Kickstarter, I definitely would have had my eyes on it and had it as like a saved project to like look at. I don't know that I would have pre-ordered it until I saw it, and I'm thinking about specifically Earthborn Rangers. That's another game that I thought looked really good, but it is a campaign. It's card driven. I was a bit nervous that Vantage might be Earthborn Rangers light. Maybe you can argue it is. I've never played Earthborn Rangers. I don't know. So I thought, you know what? Maybe let's let this come out. That's probably what I would do, is let it come out. Jared will probably pick it up, and I'll hear what he thinks about it. I'll play a game of it. But no, like with it being Stonemaier, I know the production value is going to be good. And with it being one shots, it was easy enough. But that's a valid question, right? Like, Red Raven's got a new game coming out, Songs of Silver Wraiths. I forget what it's called, but
it looks
like
so good.
It does, right? If it wasn't Red Raven, would I be hyped for it? No, I wouldn't, because it is going to be a campaign game where I have to sit through and play 10, 12, however many games of it. Because it'll have a save mechanic like Sleeping Gods probably, but at the end I'm going to have to play it multiple nights because I work, have a kid, we're busy all the time. So, but it's Red Raven, and I do own every one of their games, and I will buy this one as soon as it's on GameFound.
I was going to say your theory would prove true because your boy here is already following it on GameFound, and I'm probably going to get it. So but you'll have access to a copy if you just want to dip your toes in. And that's what I love about Red Raven. Like, you can usually get most of the stuff after the campaign's over, so they don't force you to fall into FOMO. Like, I have to get this now, and I love that.
Exactly. So, what have I not touched on? Euros. I mean, I did that with Scythe a bit. I would probably also say Rajas of the Ganges for Euros for me. Maybe like maybe Five Tribes. Those are not even close to the same game, but both.
Five Tribes is a great game.
Yeah, both games that I played a ton. Was excited to get into. You know, if you recall, my wife and I used to run an Instagram where we would share board game pictures, and we followed other board game Instagram people. I don't want to say influencers. We did not influence anybody. It wasn't that big of a deal for us, but we enjoyed it a lot. And like Rajas just kept coming up, and it was these like really bright dice, and it looked really pretty. There's a lot of stuff on the board, which like now I might look as a turnoff. Like, man, that's really busy, but we were just
it is a busy board.
Thing. Yeah,
it is so, very busy.
When we got it, like it is beautiful, right? And it's not too complex once you understand. I mean, what a way to say it, like what a way to talk about a game, right? It's not complex once you understand it. Well, obviously, but you know what I mean. I feel like the barrier of entry for the amount of game there is there, Rogers is pretty good, and there's a lot of different strategies. You can go markets, you can go all the different temples. And then there's like a flip side to your home board, so you have the advanced side with the different chits out there. It's a solid game for sure, and I think it was like, oh, that amped up worker placement. Hang on, you know what I said, worker placement, and it just hit me. What this answer should actually be is Stone Age. That's my answer for the Euros. Oh, wow. I don't know how I didn't think about this until now, because I had to have played Stone Age first. We played that game. I think if you look at our cards, they're probably grimy. That's how much we played that game, okay? The cup smells out of the box anyway, and it still smells to this day. But, yeah, man, Stone Age was great. You mentioned earlier, like, is it interesting to, like, put 2 workers in a thing and make another worker to feed? Like, no. But it was like, oh, I can get more workers, but then there's a higher cost in feeding them. But then I can produce more, so then maybe it's easier to feed them. But then I hear about this whole starvation strategy, like, wait a minute, I don't have to feed my workers and still get points? So it was just really opened up Euro games for me. I got it. Whatever I said before, listeners, don't pay attention to that. Rajas and Five Tribes, good games. Stone Age is definitely the one that started this all for me. It has to be.
I played Stone Age for the first time at a Gen Con. And I think somebody came over and taught it to us. And after I'd played it, I was like, how have I missed this game? How have I never played this game? It is fantastic. Of course, it does have dice, so obviously I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
But man, it has staying power. It's still good today. I'll take it to meetups, and people want to play it. People want to play Stone Age when you go to meetups.
Yeah. And it's just one of those classics, you know? I mean, if you're big into the hobby board game scene, you've probably played that game, probably more than once. You get it back out. It's a comfortable game. Yeah, it's really solid. We are getting a bit long. I do want to talk about 2 more games, and the second one's going to lead into our discussion that we hinted at earlier. One more thing I can't leave this conversation without talking about is Ticket to Ride. As you know, I own every Ticket to Ride map pack.
You love Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, I do. The only one I'm missing is Northern Lights, which is in my Game Nerds card. I haven't placed the order for yet. Which was like a Norwegian or a Nordic countries only release early on, and they just released it now worldwide. So
some would say you trained for it.
I did train for it, man, many times, many trains. Yeah, man, I love it. That game. When we lived back home where we grew up, like we would have family dinner at my mom and dad's every Monday night, and it would be my wife, myself, my sister, and my dad, and sometimes my brother-in-law playing Ticket to Ride. Probably 2 times minimum, maybe 3 times. And I just love it. I really do. I found out at our local board game convention that I am not competitive at this game. Like, I just don't play the game mean. I'm gonna tell myself here for the you lose story. One time you're gonna hear me talk about this, okay? It never comes up in our social circle ever at a game.
Never.
Just kidding.
Not once.
I entered my first Gen Con. My wife and I thought, hey, they're having a Ticket to Ride tournament. This could be fun. We didn't expect to win, right? Like we just love Ticket to Ride. So I enter in, and I get down to this table. It's the USA map, which we don't love, but that's okay. And first turn, don't ask me what I played, but it was like one of the little 1 train routes in like the middle of the country. And I did this because I'm thinking it's a 4-player game. I've got to make this connection to go like Chicago to Houston or whatever the route is, you know? And so if I get this, it's going to secure me. I don't have to go around. Turn 1, I play this, and the guy across the table scoffs like, you lose. And I was just so taken aback, like, dude, what are you talking about? I mean, this turn one, I played on a route that like locks me into my tickets. This is good. I did lose, in fact. Actually, he dominated, and I still get grief about it to this day from people in our friend group. But that's okay. It's all in good fun. But yeah, man, it was crazy. Like, what an interaction! I feel like this hobby, I've had nothing but positive interactions from people, except that one guy. So if you're ever listening, and you remember this interaction, that was rude, man. Come on, what are you doing?
He knew.
He knew.
There's a lot of strategy in that game.
Yeah,
there's a lot of strategy.
I just spent too many hours, too many nights just playing fun games at the table. We always put tickets right Europe because the depots were easier to get around, you know. So if we're playing with my dad, my sister, it's always Europe. It's just, I like Europe. You can't get locked out, really. It's solid. All right, so the big one for me, I want to say my favorite game of all time. That may be Ark Nova. That also is another video or another, you know, podcast, but it's Inis. And, you know, that was also part of an unofficial trilogy back in the day, Cyclades, Inis, Kemet. And Inis was just, for me, everything I wanted. I was a big Magic the Gathering player at one time in my life. You know, traveled to some Grand Prix across the country. Was playing like states, all that stuff. But it was card drafting. And I always loved Magic the Gathering limited formats. And I was like, oh, there's only 13 cards in a 3-player game. And one card gets pitched, you don't know what it is. Every round you draft 12 cards. And for me, it's like this simplistic beauty of a game where you can only do basically 13 things in the game with the action cards. And whichever actions you keep, whatever 4 actions you end up with that round is what you can do. There's some exceptions with the territory cards and the Epic Tale cards. But at the end of the day, if you want to move, you have to have a card that says move. If you want to attack, it has to say attack. And if you want to build something, it has to say build something. And it's like, for me, I think it's pretty easy to teach. All right, guys, look, here's how you do it. The cards tell you what to do. Here's the 3 win conditions. That's the trickiest part, is that's like a 3-way chicken of how close are you to all the win conditions. And it's card drafting. And I was sold the first time I played it. I bought the expansion. I just backed the Kickstarter for the big box. It hit the States yesterday, I think. I just paid the tariff on it. And it should come soon. And I will play it again with the new expansion.
That's a pretty quick turnaround, it seems like. It seems like that just was on Kickstarter not too long ago.
Yeah. They said it was going to fulfill by the end of the year, and I had my doubts, but they came through with it. You know, I think this was one that... Did Colossal actually do this one, but Matago... It's like Matago's game, but Colossal did it. I don't remember, but it was like in conjunction with somebody else who did crowdfunding a bit more, and it really worked out on the turnaround. So, yeah, I love it. I think it's quite simple to play. But the depth of strategy is there, and for like the ease of rules, depth of strategy, it's like, it's just the perfect game for me for area control. So, I know you have thoughts about this game, because the big debate is, what's the better card drafting area control game? In Jared's words, is it Blood Rage or Bad Blood Rage, aka Inis? So Jared, let's get into this. Just, you know, for the last bit here, why Blood Rage over Inis? If you can summarize it that way. Or like, why do you prefer one over the other? And I'll give it my shot to you afterwards.
Yeah, so and I'll share the same sentiment that you had, but not with the Link trilogy, but with the Matago trilogy. And Inis is a fine game, but I would put it third in the trilogy. So that Matago trilogy consists of Cyclades, Kemet, and Inis, right? That's fair to say. I don't think there's another one. I think they, I think you're right. Some other ones, but I think those are your main ones that most people know. I would put Inis third, and here's why I don't love Inis. And I'll be fair to say I'm probably not good at the game, so this is why I feel this way. I always feel in Inis that someone has to play Kingmaker, or at least in my experiences. Where
it's a common complaint I've heard.
So that's a fair complaint. So
I wouldn't say it's fair, but it's a common one. But yes.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah, so there's been, in every game I've played, which is only 3, so count it not to be fair if you want, someone's had to say, well, the person on my left's going to win if I do this, but the person on the right is going to win if I do this. Now, you could always argue that in area control games, there's a proponent to that. It's a possibility that someone's going to have to choose somebody to win, and if shit feels bad, and maybe especially if you're bad at the game, it really feels bad. And so that's one thing that I don't like about Inis. I think also in Inis you said the 13 cards that you draft every single time. I think
it's 4 cards per player plus 1, so at 3 players it's 13. 17 at 4 players.
I've played games where I haven't seen the card that I need.
Oh, really?
Right. So I feel like that's probably pretty niche. That's probably doesn't happen very often, but it did happen in my first play ever. So, there's that. So yeah, I mean, Inis is a fine game. I know a lot of people like it. I think it had a really good, that's a pretty successful Kickstarter. I know people enjoy it. I like Blood Rage for its simplicity. It's quick to teach, quick to play if everybody knows it, and I think it's a little more accessible than Inis. Would you say that's fair? That last part.
I think it's. I think it is. Man, I don't know. Accessible. Maybe so, right? Like, you're kind of like adding stuff to your board that you can visually see. This is how my faction operates. Let me get into like my thing about Blood Rage that holds it back for me is the low-key strategy. And again, I know that I'm probably on the minority of this one. I feel like Blood Rage is not always an area control game. Sometimes it's a can I kill my guys for more points than you can kill your guys game, which is, valid, right? Like, that is a strategy. After you've played Blood Rage once, you will immediately realize that's a strategy because somebody will try it. Then I feel like the game becomes, I can't let Jared get all the low-key cards. Because if he does, he's going to just run away with the points. That happened at our con. I was trying to get low-key and I abandoned it. You got it. It was fine. Like, I played the strategy I wanted to play. It was good. But at the end of the day, if I'm not somewhat hate drafting from you, it's going to be harder for me. But I do think it's probably more of a traditional area control game where you're like trying to get points by controlling things and is it pillaging or raiding? What do they call it? I forget. When you flip the tile. Yeah. And then you have your dudes on the map and you kind of move them into fight. I feel like it's more traditional for sure. It's just most points wins, and you see how to get points like on the board and on your cards and stuff. So it's easier to understand that way. So to your more accessible argument, probably so. It is. I think it was a really eye-opening experience for me, understanding that, oh my gosh, you just, what is it called? Like fire dragons, whatever the boat destruction card is, and all of your Valhalla units give you more points was like, oh, that can't happen again next time this is played. But I want to go back to Inis on your thoughts on kingmaking. I hear this from other people, so you're not alone. So I guess it's a fair judgment that that's a thing. I think your problem is playing at 3, although that's what I've played it most at. Yeah, it can certainly feel that way, right? Like, maybe, just to recap, there's 3 win conditions, and you have to always be aware of who has how many win conditions or how close they are to them, and it's a typical, like, check the leader thing. So if I'm running away with it, I've got 5 points towards a win con, so to speak. You want to take one of mine away to keep me in check. I get that. But there will be a time, like a critical mass, if you will, where me and Jared both have a win condition. And maybe if like our third player doesn't do something against me, I will have 2 win conditions now and Jared will lose. But if he hurts me, then that allows Jared to get another win condition and I will lose. I hear you on this complaint. I just chalk it up to, man, that's 3 player area control. And that's just going to happen. I just enjoy them both, really. Inis has just always been my pick, and I think it is the 3-win con, 3-way game of chicken, of like, I gotta watch it. But to your point, that makes it less accessible, because then you really have to remember, and I've had people ask me 40 minutes into a game of Inis, what are the win conditions again? And I'm immediately alarmed, like, oh god. Okay, so it's this, and this, So I hear you, but for me, like, Blood Rage, I know that the Loki strat is probably the strongest. Try to hate draft that, but in Inis, it's like I've seen every viable strat I can think of win. Like, you can just go deep into territory, you can go super wide, have one guy everywhere and hope you hold on. Try to flip the red cards into your hand that you need and play them for like a powerful turn. Like, it just feels like it's more different every time than Blood Rage is. But it's going to be the debate forever between us. We will agree to disagree, but I enjoy both games, and I'm happy to play them whenever.
And I'm happy to play one of those.
Hey, but there's a new Inis expansion that I'm going to get in a couple of weeks, so I think you have to play another game. A 4-player game this time, new expansion. We'll see how it goes. So I think that's all. That's all we had to cover today. You know, I think that was a good discussion. Our gaming journey, that's just a bit about us. You know, like we were talking about this beforehand, like what do we want to do? How do we want to start it off? And I think it's important to understand, if you're listening to a podcast or watching a YouTuber or whatever, what is their taste? You know, because if we start talking about a new game that just fulfilled from Kickstarter in a future episode, and we're just like dumping on this game, just not liking it, you may be like, why don't you like it? It's so good. Well, just think of our tastes, you know? Like, I don't love like Lacerda heavy Euros. I'll play them. I can play them. I have, but it's just not my jam. But Jared said earlier he loves heavy, crunchy Euros. Like, the heavier the game, Jared's probably going to lean more on the approval side than me. So I think it's important to just understand where people are coming from in their taste in games whenever they're like reviewing or talking about a game. Anything else you want to add, Jared?
No, I think that's it for me.
Perfect. Well, guys, we really appreciate you listening. Hoping to do these episodes coming out every month. If you guys want them more frequently, if you have topics that you'd like to suggest for us to cover in a future episode, let us know. And thanks for listening.